What is going on, guys? Chris here. So I am pre-gaming. I'm sitting in my car. I don't know how that's pre-gaming. I'm about to go watch the Avengers Endgame. The culmination of, I don't even know how many movies, like 16 or 20 movies. This story arc has been almost, literally since I was, this story arc has been longer than my current relationship, which is almost 9 or 10 years. Like 9 this year, 10 years next year, which is nuts. So I have like two very important pieces of culture that I consume ending this month between Game of Thrones and Avengers, dude. It's really exciting, kind of sad. If you have not watched Avengers Endgame, turn off this video. Please turn off this video. Don't get mad at me. I'm saying it now. The next portion of the video is going to be me coming back from the movie, either happy with how it ended or upset with how it ended. I don't know. But we'll see. I'll see you guys when I get done with the movie, and we'll chat then. Okay, bye. Just got out of the movie. It's 1 a.m. Gonna get home real quick, and then gonna do a quick 5-10 minute review of what we just saw, which was amazing. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. If you check on Twitter or anywhere, pretty much everybody's saying the same thing, but I'm going to go quickly cover it in about 5-10 minutes, then I'm going to go to bed. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, bye. And we're back. I was going to record the video last night, but I ended up being too tired, and I didn't want to record a video like half asleep. So here we are. It's the next morning. Just finished watching, technically, Avengers Endgame. And quick reaction of it before I do the review was it was fantastic. I didn't feel like it was too long, even though it was 3 hours. I felt like it got started kind of slow, but that's not a complaint. I enjoyed the way it started. I think the only complaint I had maybe was the fat Thor thing was like overplayed like a little bit. Like it was funny, and then it was just kind of like, okay, I get it, he's fat and gross. So, but either way, didn't affect the movie at all. If that's the only criticisms at all I can draw from this movie, that's a good thing, because every movie has some flaws. But the actual review of it. So obviously, if you have not watched Avengers Endgame, do not watch this video. I think I've warned everybody like 4 times. So if you're still watching it, ain't my fault. But Ant-Man comes back, right? And they develop a way to time travel through the quantum realm. Seeing Tony Stark with his family was very moving. I knew it was going to set up. You can always tell when writers or people making a story ensure that you're going to be invested in this character by showing them with their family and stuff. You know that's never good. So we start off, Hawkeye, all of a sudden loses his family, like during the original finger snap from Thanos. We see Tony with his family. He finally decides, through a talk with Pepper Potts, to go help them. They figure out how to time travel. They go back in time. Flashbacks to all the different movies, the Avengers and all the different movies, and they get the stones. All cool little interactions. Flashbacks to different characters that are still alive, still there. They get all the stones. That's about the slow part that I was talking about, but even then, I enjoyed it. And then, I feel like you need the slow part. So I'm not even necessarily complaining that there was a slow part, just that, like, for 3 hours of it, a little bit of it was slow, but, like, you need that for story building, and you need that to create the story for the movie. So I actually enjoyed, all the content they did put in it. So they get all the stones, right? Tony creates a glove. Hulk is going to do it because, it almost killed Thanos. They killed Thanos, like, right at the beginning of the movie, which kind of threw you for a spin. You're like, oh, because Thanos destroyed the stones with the stones. Just use the stones to destroy the stones. That's what he did, and it almost killed him. So they kill Thanos. So that put a little twist on it. I liked that I could not predict where the story was going to go. I usually can do a somewhat accurate prediction of kind of like what I expect. Literally got bamboozled like 6 times. So they get all the Infinity Stones back. Thanos finds out what they're doing through basically being able to see what they're doing through Nebula and her eye recording device thing. So he travels back with them. Hulk finger snaps, brings everybody back that was gone 5 years ago to the present. So everyone gets brought back. So they don't go back to 5 years ago and act like it never happened. It still always happened, but he just brought them back with the finger snap. In doing so, though, he brought back all the bad guys as well. So Thanos just completely levels the area at which they're working in, and the fight ensues. From this moment, the movie is stupid good. The fight sequence, you know, it was a long fight sequence, but it was not dragged out. It was not, it didn't get boring. I didn't get, like, fatigued with just how much battling is just going on, you know what I mean? So, like, it was perfect. First fight, you got Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. Thor is dual wielding both of his weapons, and Thanos is still ridiculously strong. They basically still can't beat him. So Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man with 2 legendary weapons still can't defeat Thanos. All of a sudden, spoiler alert again, Captain America can now use Thor's hammer. Which I don't really understand why. Because I don't feel like he changed it all. I don't feel like there was a moment, you know, like in Thor 1 where it was like, oh, he's now proved himself. So I don't really understand that all that much. Not something that bothers me, but I just didn't really understand it. Because, I mean, I don't feel like his demeanor or his way of thinking changed. Sacrificing everything to save the world, like, that's always been his thing. So I don't really understand why or what changed. But it was cool. All of a sudden, Captain America with his shield and his hammer starts slapping start slapping Thanos around a little bit. But then Thanos still ends up beating him one-on-one. And then probably the coolest, no, not probably, and then the coolest scene in this entire 16 or whatever movie story arc happens. Captain America stands up. Thanos has, you know, all of his generals back, all 6 or 7, maybe, or so, of them step out. He's got like the 100,000 to 1 million little creatures from Infinity War behind him. He's got all the giant flying serpent things that look like Godzilla, kinda. All of them from the original Avengers flying out, plus ships and other kind of monsters or whatever. There's some I didn't even know what they are. So he's got like an army behind him just like rolling through, and he's basically like, you know, what I did was never personal, but this is gonna feel good, basically killing all of you. And you guys just keep, there'll always be somebody like you guys that tries to change what I do, so I'm gonna get the stones back and I'm just gonna snap my finger and I'm just gonna take away everybody. Everything. So there's a lot on the line now, obviously. Now it's not 50%. Now it's everybody gone. And then a portal opens, a Doctor Strange portal, and out walks Black Panther and a group of his friends. It was like Black Panther and like all of the warriors from Wakanda. And then Doctor Strange and all of the disciples of the Doctor Strange movie. And then Valkyrie and all of the Valkyries and maybe some Asgardian fighters. And then, you know, pretty much every single good guy that has ever shown up in any of these 16 movies that is currently alive shows up. Scarlet Witch, the Wasp. Literally, if you just, I'm not going to go try and just recollect every single name of every single character that walked out there, because there was a lot of them, and that would take me a while. Every single good guy, plus every single unnamed warrior from the past 16 movies walks out behind Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. It was nuts. It was, yeah. And then, so obviously, whole good guy side here, bad guy side there, and obviously a battle starts. And it was sick. The bad guys start getting slapped around pretty bad. Obviously, as you can tell, because that's a lot of good guys. So, the plan is they have to try and get the gauntlet to Ant-Man's van to send it back in the past to re-put the stones back in the time they were taken. So, Hawkeye has to try and get through that whole group of people. So, each good guy, main character, basically gets an interaction there on helping him or helping it, the gauntlet, get to that van, right? So there's, you know, Spider-Man takes it at one point, and Doctor Strange helps stop like a tidal wave of coming through, and then as Thanos is getting beat and he realizes he's getting beat, he orders the ships to just start shooting down on him until Captain Marvel shows up and just destroys the ship, because she'd been gone the whole movie pretty much. And then just as, you know, there's a cool moment where, like, all the girls group up to help out for a second. Captain Marvel takes the gauntlet this time. She's flying through. Not many people can stop her at that point. But Thanos throws his bladed, double blade, whatever you want to call it, and destroys the van before she gets there. And then the final battle ensues. The final, who cares about the unnamed warriors, but the final battle of main characters happens. Thanos tries to grab the glove that falls on the ground, and I think Iron Man, Tony, grabs it first. Not grabs it first, but grabs it from him. And then he, you know, fights him for a brief few seconds, then knocks him off, and then gets the glove on. And then Captain Marvel shows up, and we get a brief glimpse. I like the way they did this too. That we get a brief glimpse as to how strong she is, but she doesn't ultimately just win because of her strength. So I really like that, because I thought that would have been cheesy that you just bring on a character at movie number 15 out of 16, and that's the solution. She wins. But you did get a glimpse of how strong Captain Marvel is. So she grabs his hand from being able to snap, and he can't close his hand. And then she actually starts, I think, breaking the glove onto his hand so it won't work. And then he punches her. Doesn't do anything. Not a single thing. Just a straight punch and just nothing. So you get a glimpse into like how strong she actually is. But then he rips out the Power Stone out of his glove, punches her away, puts the Power Stone back in, and there you go. He's gonna do it. Tony Stark shows up again. The glove that Thanos is wearing is actually a glove that was made by Tony this time. Not really sure how, because in Infinity War they were always so... It was always so important on he needed a glove to harness the powers. I guess Tony's smart enough. Okay, never mind. I'll accept that Tony's smart enough to be able to create the same thing with technology rather than a forge from a star. Like that makes sense. Tony Stark, you get the impression that Tony Stark can basically almost figure out anything to do with science. So, Tony grabs the glove, there's a brief struggle, and then he knocks him away. And is basically like, I am inevitable. Because that's what he said in the past. Or future. Whatever. Snaps his fingers, and you think anything. And then all of a sudden he turns the glove over, the Infinity Stones are gone. When Tony grabbed the glove, it basically absorbed the Infinity Stones because they're both his technology. So I'm cool with somehow him getting the stones from that glove into his glove. Science. It's just what happens. So Tony responds, which I think is a shout out to the beginning of this whole series, I am Iron Man, and snaps his fingers. All the bad guys start turning to dust the same way 50% of everybody did at the end of Infinity War. And Tony obviously suffers the effects. Tony is not the Hulk who is able to survive a snap, because the Hulk just literally just cannot be harmed. We've never seen him harmed at all, and even he, after snapping his fingers, was in a sling. His arm was all jacked up. I think the side of his face was a little jacked up. Tony, after the snap, obviously is in incredibly rough shape. We get a very emotional interaction between him, Pepper, Spider-Man, pretty much the whole group, and Tony dies. It was very, very emotional, especially because this has been like 16 movies over the course of like 10 years. Like, this whole story arc started before I had even met my wife. When I was in college in Florida is when this started, and I always get a tad bit emotional when I watch stuff like this. Not emotional enough to like cry, because that's just not me. I don't have the capability of being that invested in something like a TV show or movie, but I do. It makes me think. I always remember just like how short life is when something that I enjoy like this ends, because this is like my entire 20s. 20 to 30 was basically this story arc. And whoever had the idea to incorporate 16 movies through one story, but with different stories, if that makes sense, was a genius. This has never been done before. And then I sit there and I think, how many more chances do I have to experience something like that? This was 10 years. That would be like my 30s to my 40s, my 40s to my 50s, my 50s. Like, I only have 3-4 opportunities left of time spans in order to experience something like this ever again. I might not experience something like this ever again. And I feel the same way about this in Game of Thrones, which I talked about briefly last night. I have 2 things that have been part of my life for 10 years ending this month. Back to the review, though. We basically get a bunch of wrap-up stories. We get a funeral for Tony. All very sad. Captain America gets to go back and kind of live a normal life with his girl. And everybody just kind of, it kind of just shows everybody in a final scene there, flashing back and forth between the shots of the funeral, and it was just a really good ending. The part that, how do I say this? The part, not that I'm most excited about, but I was excited to see Thor leave with the Guardians of the Galaxy, because I know there's going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and I'm already cool with the comedic relief of a movie like that every once in a while from like the serious ones like this past one. So I'm just excited for more Marvel movies. They've been doing a fantastic job. This entire story arc was literally brilliant. That's it. That's where we're at. It was brilliant. This entire story arc. Anybody who's hating on this movie or this story arc or even Game of Thrones in general, just stop ruining everybody else's fun. I'm sorry you're not capable of enjoying this, but I pity you that you're not able to. You know what I mean? Even going back to that one video of that dude crying over Star Wars. I mean, it's a little... I don't really understand it. Because like I said, I don't have the capabilities to be that into something. But I envy it. I wish I could be that into something. And then to like the Twitter people and like specifically that girl that was like, you know, like superhero in Star Wars or whatever culture or comic book culture or whatever she said, has created a generation or a group of undateable men in response to that video. Fuck you. Like, just because you're not capable of enjoying anything to that extent doesn't mean it's wrong. Even with that statement, you kind of just proved you're undateable. I'm not going to go on a rant, though. But either way, if you don't enjoy stuff like this, don't ruin it for everyone else. Go back to watching your reality TV or any of that other crap you people that don't have good taste in art like to watch. But either way, let me know what you guys thought about the movie. If there was anything you liked, disliked, anything you're excited for, anything I missed. Or I'm coming right off the movie sleep, wake up, review. That's where I'm at. So I might have missed a few things. Let me know if there's anything that you thought was like super important, super you liked, you didn't like. You know, drop a like. Make sure you leave that comment. Subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'll see you guys next video, which will probably be later today. Okay, bye.